Good day sa inyo mga Pinoy Transit Hoopfest fanatics. Again, nandito na naman tayo sa bagong season ng ating Pinoy Transit Express Hoopfest Bring Your Best Pa-Fall season. Yeah. Okay, so ano pong bago sa ating Hoopfest? Pinoy Transit Express Hoopfest this season, Pa-Fall Hoopfest. So this time around, we'll have a draft class para sa ating mga teams na maglalaro para this season. So right now we got 3 teams for bracket AC and 3 teams too for bracket day off DF. Alright, so for each team right now, they are composed of mostly 6 to 8 players for each team because ito po ang expansion team natin. Bali, ang mangyayari ay those expansion team will draft players from the draft pool. So those players that's on the draft pool, those were the players who has an average of 6 points and up from last season. So yun po ang mangyayari sa ating ngayong Pa-Fall Hoopfest sa Pinoy Transit. So this time around, let's go over with the draft picks. So let's talk about draft picks. Sino ba ang projected number 1 for each bracket? Okay, so for the whole bracket, there are 22 total players to be drafted by the total of 6 teams sa ating Pinoy Transit Express Hoopfest. That's a beautiful thing to do, right? So this time around is different from the first time that we had the league, right? That we had this basketball game. So right now we got 22 players to be drafted, total for 6 teams. So for each teams we'll select 3 players from the draft pool. All right, so let's talk about the draft pool. Sino ba ang projected number 1? But this is only my personal opinion. Some people may agree, some people may not agree on whatever I say or will say about it. But this time around, I'll just say this is my projected draft pick for the upcoming Hoopfest season. So sa projected draft pick ko, bale, projected number 1 overall na maglalaro o pwedeng i-draft sa A or C or D or F na day of group ay si Dre Gonzalez. So what's with Papi Dre? Ano bang maibibigay sa atin ni Papi Dre? Of course, aside from the scoring, he's averaging 30.5 points a game last season. And aside from that, he's also getting 6.5 boards per game. That's a wonderful stat right there, right? So number 1, projected number 1, Dre Gonzalez. He can be drafted either by day of bracket AC or DF. But there's one thing about drafting Dre Gonzalez right now, because even though he's eligible to play, we don't know if he will play or he will come back next month, because right now he's still in Jasper doing his own thing, right? But I already spoke with Papi Dre and sabi niya interested siya maglaro sa ating Hoopfest basketball. So if you got the number 1 pick for either A or C bracket, you can take Dre Gonzalez if you're needing scoring, so scoring and rebounding. So let's go over to the number 2 pick. Number 2 pick, projected ko lang to, pero again, this is my own humble opinion only. Syempre, ang number 2 pick sa aking palagay ay si Dynamite Anthony Pesigan. Syempre, the Dynamite. Bakit ka mo? Kasi the Dynamite, he can score anytime he wants. You know that, right? And his average is about 25.5 points per game and about 4 rebounds. So, he's a scoring machine. Like 5 points behind Dre, but still, small but terrible Dynamite Anthony Pasigan is the number 2 pick. Projected ko lang. And he can play on bracket DF. So, AC team, bracket AC, sorry about that, but you cannot draft Anthony Pasigan because he can only play on day of group D or F. Okay? So, yan, si Anthony Pasigan. So, let's go over to number 3. Number 3, who is this guy? Siyempre, the jeepney man, lucky guy, Mervin Agustin. Yeah, Mervin Agustin, averaging 20.6 points and 8 boards a game. So, he's like the equal, or not the equal, but scoring at the same time, rebounding guy, if you wanted one. He's the man, Mervin Agustin at number 3, and you can bracket day off AC lang siya, pwedeng madraft. So sorry about that, bracket DF. If you got the number 2 pick or if you got the number 1 pick, you cannot select Mervin Agustin, but bracket AC can only do that. So let's go over to the 4th pick. My projected 4th pick ay walang iba kundi ang 2-time Pinoy Transit Express MVP Frederick Eric The Claw Lanoria. Siyempre kaway, malakaway itong si Eric eh. Alam mo naman, 2-time MVP, averaging 19.5 points and 5.5 rebounds a game from last season, and he was the 2nd time league MVP na ating Hoopfest. So he can be drafted number 1 if you want to. He's day of group 6. So day of group 6, most likely he would play on bracket AC. So mas marami ang games na malalaro niya sa bracket AC compared sa bracket DF. But bracket DF can also draft him, but the downfall about it is he can only play few games for you guys if you draft him under bracket DF. So bracket AC will most likely draft him, but I just don't know which team who will get him though. Okay, so let's move over to the projected number 5th or number 5th on the draft. It's Julius Legaspi, but as we know, Washrock, Julius Legaspi is the captain of the Washrock, so technically he can't be drafted, but he's up there at number 5, averaging 15.5 points and 8.5 rebounds. Oh wow, almost a double monster, right? But again, good for the Washrock people. He's their team captain, 15.5 points, Julius Legaspi. So he cannot be drafted because he'll be playing under Washrock team. Yan. And let's go over with the number 6 spot on the draft class. Walang iba kundi ang Pinoy Transit Express Joker, the Joker, Cesar Rivera. Yan nga, si the Joker yan, si Cesar Jokic. Binibiro kong Cesar Jokic yan from last season natin. And this guy at number 6 is averaging double-double, 14 points, 11.5 rebounds a game. So he can play under bracket DF. Okay, sorry about that. Bracket AC teams, you cannot draft him, but only DF, day of group, can draft Cesar Rivera, the Joker. Cesar Rivera averaging 14 points and 11.5 rebounds per game. Yan. And we move over to the number 7 pick. If you would ask, it will be the Tank. Who else? It's the Tank, Mark Cinco. Yan. It's averaging 13.5 points per game and 3.5 and a half or 3.5 rebounds per game. And Mark Cinco can only be drafted by bracket DF. DF lang siya pwede maglaro. ka-transit. Ayun nga. So if you're looking for points and defense and at the same time a wide body to guard your big man against a big man, or if you wanna have a wide body big man, the tank is your guy, Mark 5. Yan, number 7. And he can only play on bracket DF. And okay, so let's move over to the number 8 pick. My projected number 8 pick for this season is Sixto Pagdonsola. He's a 2-time Mythical 5 player. So if another big guy who can contribute both on points, rebounds, and defense. He's good at defense, rebounds, and of course, scoring. He's averaging 11.5 points per game with 7.5 rebounds a game. So almost a double-double for this guy, Sixto Pagdonsola. Yan. But he can only play under bracket D or F. So sorry about that, bracket AC teams. You cannot draft him. The 2-time Mythical 5 player, Sixto Pagdonsola. Only bracket D and F can draft him. So, yan. So let's go over to the next player. At number 9. Ito, malakas din to. Si The Spark. Mark The Spark Chua. Ayan, mga ka-Transit Express. Mark The Spark Chua at number 9. If you wanna draft him, he can play on either A or C bracket or D or F bracket. So whoever has the draft rights, you can draft him on either bracket. Ikaw, bahala kayo kung gusto nyo kuhain si Mark The Spark Chua. And his average is about 11.5 points a game and 5.5 boards per game para kay Mark Chua. And at number 10, ito po ang isa pang malupit na player, defense and offense. Sa aking palagay ay walang iba kundi ang ating The Enforcer. Ayan, na matawag natin sa mga malupit sa defense, medyo malupit sa scoring. He's a 1-time Mythical 5 member. Ian, The Enforcer Diag. Muscle under the boards. Yeah, he can score and at the same time grab those boards, right? So he's at number 10 and he can only play on bracket DF. DF lang siya, pwedeng madraft. So, yun nga, he's averaging 11.5 points and 4 rebounds. Okay, so let's go over to the next player at number 11. Sa aking projected class ay walang iba kundi si Arthur de Acosta. Si Bossing, tawag nila. Kasi nga, Bossing. Biro lang yan, pero yun nga, kasi medyo kahawig siya sa totoo lang ni Bossing Big Soto. Yun nga, yung mga biro lang yan, pero he's bossing Arthur de Acosta. He's averaging 11.5 points. If you need scoring, if you need a guy who can score for you on fast breaks, he can do it for you. He's Arthur de Acosta, and his day off group is 2. So 2, he's a swing guy. Spare guy, number 2. So day off group 2, he can play on either bracket A or C or D or F. But sa aking projection, if he will play on bracket, let me see, sa aking palagay, mas makakararo siya ng marami or mas makatulong siya ng marami if he will be drafted on the teams under bracket AC. Yan. Kasi nga, number 2. So, most of our games will fall under AC if you will draft Arthur de Acosta. If you need a scoring guy, he can help you out on scoring, averaging 11.5 points and 2.5 rebounds a game. Yan po si Arthur de Acosta. And again, this is a guy who can either play on either bracket AC or DF, but Again, yun nga, may downfall sa kanya. If you will draft him under bracket DF, he can only play few games compared to bracket AC. So, yun ang pagkakaiba niya. And let's move over to the other guy, or next guy on the draft class. It's number 12, Jeremy Arboleda. Oh, so if you need muscle and height with scoring and defense, this guy is averaging almost double-double a game, 9.5 points and 9.5 rebounds. So he's one of those top-tier players sa ating Hoopfest series, or Hoopfest basketball. Averaging almost a double-double, 9.5 points on rebounds. And yeah, if you need a big guy underneath the basket who can also score and at the same time give you good defense, he's your guy. But he can only be drafted on bracket D or F. Yan, sa D or F lang siya pa pwede maglaro dahil yun ang kanyang day of group, Jeremy Arboleda. And next guy, ito isa pang malupit din sa atin. Siya ay isa rin sa ating mga sponsors, si Gilbert Ramos. Yan, at number 13, and his average about 9.5 points and about 5 rebounds a game from last season. So he can score, he can rebound, and he can give you good defense. And yeah, but for this guy, there is also for this guy Gilbert, you can draft him under AC or DF because he's an X-group guy. So he can be drafted on either bracket class, but I think he will be best fitted if he will be drafted under bracket DF. Bakit? Kasi sa bracket DF, sa tingin ko, most of the big guys is under bracket DF. So if you're one of those teams under bracket DF, team 1, 2, 3s, you can draft this guy. If you need scores and rebound and again defense underneath the basket, he's your guy. Gilbert Ramos, 9.5 points and 5 rebounds per game. And moving over to the next guy on our draft class is number 14, Ryan Omenga. Yeah, si Pretty Boy Ryan. So what he can do for you is he can score a lot in bunches. And average ni Ryan from last season is about 8.5 points and 3 rebounds. Yeah, one of the top guys too, because he can score at will. Yan, si Ryan Omenga, Pretty Boy Ryan, 8.5 points, 3 rebounds. And he can be drafted on either a bracket also, AC or DF, because he's a next group guy. Yan. And next guy on our draft class, almost the same guy, almost the same stat with Ryan, is Dex Manrique. Si Dexter ay nag-average ng same thing kay Ryan at 8.5 points and 3 rebounds a game. Another big guy underneath the basket who can score and provide you defense at the same time. Yun nga, Dex Manrique, if you need a big guy underneath the basket who can score at will underneath and who can also run for fast breaks, I think he's the best match for Mark Cinco the Tank. But yeah, he can only play though under bracket DF. He's a DF day of group guy. So if you need him, you can draft him under bracket DF. Those teams under bracket DF can only acquire Dex Manrique if you need him. And let's go over to the next guy on our draft. Number 16 on my list, averaging 8.5 and 1.5 rebounds a game. Alang iba kundi si Jose the Pogi Alberto. Ayan, isa sa mga idol natin pagdating sa basketball at syempre sa pagwapuhan. Alam mo na yan, ang ating Jose the Pogi Alberto. Yun nga. He's averaging 8.5 and 1.5. So the good thing about this guy, he can run the court up and down tirelessly, and he can score if he wants to. And he has a perimeter shooting too, and yeah, it's good at driving into the basket, averaging 8.5 points a game. And another guy, let's move over to the other guy on our draft class, but I'm still not sure if he wants to play this time around. He's Emil Rivera. He's one of our big guy dito sa ating Hoopfest. He's averaging about 8 points and 5.5 rebounds a game. So if you need a big guy, he's your man. But I'm not too sure though if he wants to play this time around sa ating Hoopfest series, dahil nga hindi pa siya nag-update sa atin kung kasali siya ngayon sa ating laro para sa Pa-Fall Hoopfest natin. Alright, so I'm not too sure though if he can be drafted right now, but he's up there at number 17 sa ating draft class. Okay, so let's move over to the next guy. At number 19. Okay, number 19. Si Jay DeLuz. Ito pa tong the enforcer din to. Malakas din to sa ilalim. He can score at the same time rebound. He's like the bull Jay DeLuz. Yeah, he can he's averaging 7.5 points a game and about 3 rebounds per game. So malakas sa ilalim tong mamang to. Just like the bull. Nelson Asaitona, the bull, if you know that guy from the PBA. But yeah, if you need a guy underneath the basket who can score and at the same time grab those boards, he's your man. And he can only play on bracket DF though. So that's his bracket DF. So those teams under bracket DF, if you're looking for a big guy who can score and at the same time rebound and defense, he's your guy, Jay DeLuz. Or Daslich. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but you know him. He's Jay, the bull. Yun nga. And ito pong isang next player natin. A fun guy to. He's averaging about 7.5 points and 2.5 rebounds per game. From last season, he can score, he can run the court. Walang iba, at shooter din tong mamang to. Walang iba kundi si Kin Ramos, Aquilino Ramos. Yan nga, si Kin. But Kin can only play on bracket DF because he's a DF kind of guy. Yan, sa bracket ng DF lang siya pwede maglaro. So teams under bracket DF can only draft him. Okay, so next guy on our draft class ay nag-average din siya ng 7.5 and about 2 rebounds a game. Walang iba kundi ang kamag-anak to ni Mr. Christopher Malapit, si Mr. Ray Malapit, and he's averaging 7.5 points and about 2 rebounds a game from last season. So the good thing about Ray, he can shoot, he can score, he can get those points underneath and from the perimeter. 7.5 points. So if you need a perimeter guy, he's your man. And he can only be drafted under bracket AC. So he can only play on those day off group. So teams 1 to 3 from AC can only draft Ray Malapit. He's averaging 7.5 points and 2 rebounds. And the last guy on our projected draft picks ay walang iba kundi si Air Terry Ventura. Yun nga, corny, no? Pero, yeah, he's like Air Jordan. He's the guy. Air Terry. He's averaging 6.5 points and about 2 rebounds a game. So, if you need another guy who can score within the perimeter, who can shoot, slash the basket, grab those boards, and give you some assist, he's your guy, Terry Ventura. Yan, so this wraps our PTE Hoopfest projected draft class. So, if you're playing under DF, And under bracket AC, so yan, I gave you like my projected draft picks that you can draft under those day of groups. So let's move over to the teams. How about the teams? Let's talk about the teams on each bracket. Okay, so for this season, Pinoy Transit Express Fall Hoopfest, for each bracket we got 3 teams. For AC, it's Team 1, Team 2, and Washrak. Yun nga, sa day off natin na AC, 3 team. And sa bracket AC, there will also be a joker team. A joker team can play on either bracket AC and DF, but their standings will not count. Okay, so that's why it's a joker team nga, para lang mabuo yung standings and versus for each game, because for each day of group we'll have around 2 games each day of group. So for bracket AC there will be 2 games, and bracket DF there will also be 2 games. So but the schedule is not yet available at this time because we're still doing the draft process for the team to be complete. All right, so for team 1, let's go over to the team 1 bracket AC first. Okay, so for team 1 bracket AC, we have RD, Mario, Felix, Edmond, Mike Tercero, Zaldi, Jerome, with Hector and his son Paulo. Ayun nga. And on team 1, maglalaro din daw sa ating liga ang kapatid ni Edmond Manaog. Yun nga. So that's the team 1, and their team captain is Edmond. So Edmond will talk to his team about who they want to draft on the draft class under AC bracket. But I think my projection, they will take either Dre, because he is a scoring guy, or Eric. Yan, either Dre or Eric will take. That's the guy that they will take if they'll be available. Because sa ating bracket AC, ang order of pick, the first team to get a player is the Washrak team. So Julius, the team captain of Washrak, he has Joe, Flor, Jacob, and Chris right now for Washrak, and he will draft players too. Projected number 1 sa ating draft class under AC, they might get scoring 2. They can get Dre, Eric, or Mark, or Mervin. Yan ang mga sa tingin kong pwede na lang makuha under number 1 pick sa bracket AC. And the second team to pick ay walang iba kundi ang Team 2 na pinamumunuan ni Team Captain Sherwin, and under him is Mar, Alan, Omar, yours truly, Mario, Sam, and si Warden Bobot. But I had a message a while ago. One of our team member wants to be traded over to Team 1, but I don't have any idea yet if they will take Mar under Team 1 and who will they trade over to Team 2 in exchange to Mar, para fair ang ating liga. Yun nga po mga ka-Hoopfest, Pinoy Transit Express Hoopfest. Yun nga, ang Team 2, it's team under Team Captain Sherwin, and the players under him are Mar, Alan, Omar, Hendrix, Mario, Sam, at si Bobot. Yan ang under ng Team 2 sa bracket day of AC. Alright, so let's go over to the other bracket. Itong palagay ko sa malupit na bracket. Oh, pero sa akin palagay, it's evenly spread yung mga players, yung mga galing na players, dahil this time around they will be drafted too. So it will be even on all teams sa aking palagay lang. Pero syempre the best team always wins. Of course. So bracket DF, so under team 1, ang team captain po ay si Bunso. Si Hubert. Bunso Hubert Bunso. And under Bunso, his teammates are Idol, Jonathan, and si Getty Thompson, ang ating triggerman, Getty Thompson, and si Boss J, Ferdinand Martin, J Martin, and Renz, one of the new drivers, and he wants to play on this with this Hoopfest this season. So yeah, he's under team 1 under bracket DF. Yun nga. So let's go over to team 2, and team captain is Raul. Si Raul ang team captain ng team 2, and ang teammates niya ay si Bernie, si Eugene, yung dalawang Rico, si Boss Rico, siya si Rico Awatin. Yun nga. Yun ang under ng team 2, at magdadraft sila ng players. Raul will give me information about who they want to draft, and yeah, he's a team captain. And let's go over to team 3. Team 3, palagi ko isa tong sa mga malaki, pero I don't know, man, but Eman is one of their guys. So team captain is Arvin Remando. Yan, siya ang team captain ng team 3, and mga teammates niya si yun nga, Eman, si James, the tall guy, is about 6'2", I think. Yeah, and Melvin Samera, yan, ng team 3, and they will draft players too. And order of picks from bracket DF, first team to select a player is team 3. So Arvin will select a player first. So the order selection is team 3 goes team 3 takes the number 1, team 1 takes the number 2 pick, and team 3 takes the number team 2 takes the number 3 pick, and team 3 takes the number 4 pick. Team 1 will get the number 5, team 2 will get the number 6, team 3 will take the 7th pick, team 1 will take the 8th pick, and team 2 will get the 9th pick of this draft class sa bracket DF. So yan nga po. So updates on the draft and player completion will be this Sunday. So what will happen right now is there will be like a chat box for team captains, and they will give me details as to who they want to take for their first pick or for their pick to be with them on this season. So update po tayo sa ating basketball. Yun po, every Sunday there will be 2 games every Sunday, every bracket. So one team against the other, and the other team will verse against a joker team para makompleto lang yung 4 teams, at least 4 teams. Every week we'll have a game. Yun nga po. So right now, this is the end of our Hoopfest chikahan. Ika nga. Yan nga. So, abangan lang natin kasi who will take the number 1, who will be the number 1 player on each bracket, and let's see if they can deliver as number 1. Yun nga po. So, next time around, watch out for updates here on Pinoy Transit Express. Bring your best. Hoopfest Pa-Fall. See you guys around next time. Peace out, yo.